So today we're going to be talking about homeostasis and what that means in relation to our bodies and the systems that control it. Come on, I'll show you. Hello and welcome back to White Line Medicine. So today we're going to be going over homeostasis. I already kind of mentioned this a little bit in the last video. We went over it briefly, but today we're going to dive in deeper and we're really going to understand why it's so important that we know about it in relation to our body. Alright, so just in case you missed it, let's go back and review what homeostasis means, just so we're all on the same page. So if we break it down, we get two different parts in homeostasis. The first part is homeo. This is the root word and it means sameness or similar. The second part is stasis. This is the suffix and this means to control or maintain. So if we take all that and put it all together, we get controlling or maintaining sameness, which within our body, this means our auto-regulatory systems that are constantly working to preserve perfect balance throughout our entire system. So another word that I want us to know is called allostasis. Allostasis can be broken down into two different parts. The first part, allo, means change or different. And the second part, we already learned stasis means to control and maintain. So if we put all that together, we get maintaining different. Now, that may seem a little confusing, but when we're talking about it in relation to homeostasis, it's actually referring to when the body senses a stressor or a change within us and then makes changes accordingly to maintain the homeostasis. So what body systems are involved with keeping and maintaining homeostasis? Well, simply put, we can boil it down to two different systems. We can see the endocrine system and the CNS system. And they primarily do this through negative feedback loops and sometimes even positive feedback loops. All right, so I know I just threw a whole lot at you, but let's break this down together. Let's start with the endocrine system. This is a series of glands that are throughout your body that are designed to release chemical mediators and hormones. A great example of this is your blood sugar levels. If you go and eat a meal, your blood sugar levels are naturally going to rise. In response to this, your pancreas releases two different things. It releases glucagon and insulin. This helps to both pull sugar into the cells, and also the liver stores this with the glucagon and even stores it in your muscles. This all helps to reduce our blood sugar levels, bringing back everything to normal levels and maintaining homeostasis. All right, next we have the CNS system. This stands for Central Nervous System. Now, that includes things like your brain. And a great way it maintains homeostasis is through things such as breathing. Now, if you go out for a long run, your body's automatically going to sense that you need more oxygen to come in and more CO2 to leave. But once it recognizes this, it's going to say, hey, I need you to increase the respiratory rate, and your body's going to respond in kind. This is a great way that it maintains and controls homeostasis. Next, let's look at feedback loops. We'll start out with negative feedback loops because these are the most commonly found throughout the body. A great example of a negative feedback loop is within our thermal regulation or temperature control. If your body realizes that it's getting too hot, it's going to do things like increase sweating and perspiration. Then, once your body reaches the normal level again, it's going to stop these methods of active cooling and therefore maintaining homeostasis. But you can see how this is a negative feedback loop because as soon as it reaches its goal, it cuts off and goes back to normal. Now, positive feedback loops, they're a little bit different. We don't see these as commonly, and they have a much higher potential to actually become dangerous. A great example of a normal positive feedback loop that we see is actually in childbirth. So we can see how when a baby is getting ready to be born, it goes down in the birth canal and starts putting pressure on the uterus. The uterus responds to this by contracting further. This contraction then pushes the baby further into the uterus, putting more pressure on it and therefore causing the uterus to contract again and again. This happens in succession over and over and over until finally the baby is born. Where something like this can become dangerous, however, is in fevers. When the body reaches an internal temperature of 108 degrees Fahrenheit, there's a phenomenon that happens where your body no longer knows how to control that fever by itself, and it begins to increase the metabolism, which thereby increases our fever. This continues to happen again and again and again in that cyclical loop until your body's no longer able to sustain life. Now, fevers aren't bad in themselves, and a lot of times they're honestly helping us. But this is why high fevers need to be controlled very quickly and can become very dangerous. Okay, so to recap really quickly, homeostasis is typically maintained through either the CNS system or the endocrine system. And it typically does this through a negative feedback loop, though we do see positive feedback loops in special circumstances. So now that we understand all of that, we can also better understand pathophysiology and why the body is doing exactly what it's doing when it responds to a disease or a virus or something like that. All right, so that's gonna be it for this video. But if you've got a question about anything or you wanna learn more about what we talked about, make sure to drop a comment right down below and let me know. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single video that I have coming out. As always, thank you so much for joining and learning with me here today at White Line Medicine.